Most people think of North Dakota as nothing more than cold winds, quiet highways, and fields that stretch forever, but beneath its wide-open sky hides one of the most dramatic, violent, and mysterious landscapes in North America. A river that flows the wrong way. A lake that won't stop growing. Badlands carved into rainbow stone. An oil ocean trapped beneath the prairie. And the remains of a super lake larger than entire countries. This is North Dakota, the state almost nobody looks at twice, yet almost every part of it defies logic, geography, and expectation. Today, we're diving into 25 wild facts about North Dakota you've never heard of. And trust me, by the end, you'll never see this empty state the same way again. A land forged beneath ice miles. Thick North Dakota's modern geography is the result of forces so massive they almost sound unreal. For tens of thousands of years, the state was buried beneath continental glaciers, sheets of ice so thick they could swallow the tallest skyscrapers on Earth. These ice empires bulldozed mountains, crushed forests, and scraped the landscape clean, leaving behind the rolling hills, kettle ponds, and flat plains we see today. When the ice finally melted, its retreat was explosive. Megafloods roared across the land at speeds faster than modern rivers, carving valleys in days that normally take thousands of years to form. Every ridge and dip in the land is the footprint of a world that vanished only 10,000 years ago. In central and western North Dakota, the prairie is not just scenery, it is an experience. You can stand in the middle of a wheat field and see the curvature of the earth. Nothing interrupts the horizon. No mountains, few trees, just endless waves of grass moving like an ocean under the wind. On cloudless days, the sun feels enormous. On storm days, thunderheads stack higher than some mountain ranges, visible from states away. At dusk, the sky transforms into a 360-degree dome of orange, purple, and gold. This emptiness is not empty at all. It is one of the purest, most uninterrupted landscapes left in the United States. A river that flows north, breaking every rule. The Red River of the North is one of the strangest rivers on the continent because it flows uphill on the map, northward into colder, flatter terrain. This creates one of the world's perfect flood conditions. Snow melts earlier in the south. Ice remains frozen in the north. Meltwater rushes into a frozen bathtub. Cities like Grand Forks and Fargo exist in a constant dance with a river that doesn't care where humans want to live. Some of the largest floods in United States history happened here. This north-flowing anomaly controls life along the entire eastern border. A lake that grows without asking permission. Devil's Lake is unlike any major lake in the U.S. because it has no natural outlet. Every drop of rain that enters stays there unless it evaporates. When rainfall patterns shift, the lake becomes a living creature, expanding outward without warning. In the last century, Devil's Lake has swallowed farms, roads, high-voltage power lines, entire neighborhoods, and even small towns. Engineers have raised highways multiple times, built dikes, and constructed outlet channels, yet the lake continues to rise in cycles. It is a natural force that cannot be negotiated with. The ghost of a super lake bigger than all the Great Lakes combined. When the glaciers melted, they left behind a body of water so enormous it covered the Dakotas, Minnesota, and parts of Canada. This was Lake Agassiz, a super lake larger than modern-day Germany. Its weight bent the Earth's crust. Its drainage changed global sea levels. Its disappearance reshaped the climate. Today, the Red River Valley's perfectly flat floor and rich black soil are all that remain of this vanished inland sea. A ghost lake that still influences weather, agriculture, and landscape thousands of years after it dried. Auroras that stretch across an entire sky. North Dakota sits at the perfect latitude to witness the northern lights several times a year. Far from major cities, the prairie becomes a black canvas where green and purple waves ripple silently overhead. When solar storms intensify, the aurora doesn't just appear. It dominates the sky, filling every corner of the horizon with sheets of dancing light. For many residents, winter nights are not dark at all. They glow. Badlands that look sculpted by an artist. Western North Dakota erupts into a landscape so dramatic it looks painted. The Badlands are a maze of cliffs, buttes, gullies, and ridges carved by erosion into shapes almost too perfect to be natural. The layers of stone tell a story. Orange and red from ancient soils, gray from volcanic ash, yellow from fossilized plant matter, black from coal seams. These colors shift at sunrise and sunset, giving the Badlands an almost otherworldly glow. No two ridges look the same, and every year erosion changes the map again. The sanctuary where bison survived extinction. While bison were wiped out across most of North America, a few small herds survived in the remote Badlands. Hidden in canyons and shielded by rugged terrain, they avoided the last waves of the 19th century slaughter. These surviving animals formed the genetic foundation for modern conservation efforts. To see bison roaming the North Dakota prairie today is to see a species saved by geography itself. A fossil ocean of oil beneath the grass. 350 million years ago, before dinosaurs ever walked the earth, western North Dakota lay beneath a warm, shallow sea. Microorganisms sank to the ocean floor, accumulated for millions of years, and were compressed into oil trapped deep within shale. This ancient sea became the Bakken Formation, now one of the largest oil reserves in the world. Its discovery didn't just boost the state economy, it changed the global energy landscape. Winters that challenge, human limits. Winters in North Dakota do not behave like winters anywhere else. Temperatures drop so low that even machinery gives up. Exposed skin can freeze in minutes. Wind chills dip below minus 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Blizzards erase the boundary between land and sky. Whiteouts become so intense that drivers can't see their own hoods. People mark paths between buildings with ropes. Railroads freeze. Snow piles higher than houses. This is not just cold, it is survival weather. A state where wind never stops moving. Wind defines North Dakota. It shapes snow, shapes soil, shapes culture. It whistles across the prairie day and night, hitting buildings like a steady, invisible tide. Early settlers wrote in diaries about the ceaseless voice of the wind. Today, that same force powers huge wind farms that stretch across the plains, turning relentless gusts into energy for the entire Midwest. The Missouri River, a ribbon of life, through the desert of grass. The Missouri River is the reason many communities in western North Dakota exist at all. For thousands of years, it provided water, transportation, fertile soil, and shelter. It carved valleys that became natural highways for tribes, explorers, settlers, and later industries. Even today, North Dakota's largest reservoir, most fertile western farmland, and many cities owe their existence to the Missouri. A lake built by human hands and buried homelands. Lake Sakakawea stretches more than 150 miles across the state, but its origin is not natural. It was created when the Garrison Dam flooded entire communities, including Native American villages, graveyards, and farmland. The reservoir swallowed a world that once existed along the river. Today, beneath the surface lie ghost roads, bridge foundations, orchards, and the remains of homes. Lake Sakakawea is beautiful above water and heartbreaking below it. Crossing into the western plateau feels like changing continents. As you drive west across the Missouri River, the land suddenly rises. Grass grows tougher, trees disappear, and the sky somehow feels even larger. This is the Missouri Plateau, rough, dry, and shaped by erosion and ancient tectonic uplift. It's where the Midwest ends and the West begins. The Drift Prairie, a landscape built from ice debris. Central North Dakota is a museum of glacial leftovers. Lakes shaped like teardrops, mounds of rock carried hundreds of miles, and ridges that once marked the edge of advancing ice sheets. Farmers plow soils made from pulverized mountains crushed beneath glaciers that vanished long before human memory. Turtle Mountain, a forest floating in prairie. Turtle Mountain rises abruptly from the Prairie Sea, covered in aspen forests, birch groves, and dozens of small lakes. It feels like a misplaced piece of Canada dropped into North Dakota. The plateau has its own climate, its own wildlife, and its own cultural history. It is an ecological island in a grassland world. Devil's Lake, a lake with no escape. Devil's Lake is one of the most unpredictable lakes in the United States because it has no natural outlet. Every drop of rain or snowmelt that enters the basin stays there, trapped in a closed bowl with nowhere to drain. When North Dakota enters a wet cycle, the lake does not just rise a little, it expands outward in every direction. Over the past few decades, Devil's Lake has more than tripled in size, flooding farmland, swallowing forests, and forcing entire road systems to be rebuilt on higher, safer ground. Power lines have been relocated, neighborhoods abandoned, and thousands of acres turned from fields into permanent water. Engineers have constructed dikes and artificial outlets to slow the rise, but the lake continues to behave on its own terms, growing and shrinking with long-term climate patterns. In North Dakota, Devil's Lake isn't just a lake, it's a moving border that never stops shifting. The Badlands, a painted desert of stone. The western edge of North Dakota shatters into a landscape that feels almost impossible compared to the plains surrounding it. Here, the earth breaks open into cliffs, canyons, buttes, and knife-edged ridges carved by millions of years of wind, water, and slow erosion. Bands of red, yellow, blue, gray, and black stripe the hillsides like layers of time. Ancient soils, volcanic ash, coal seams, and the remains of long-vanished forests. These colors shift with the light, glowing gold at sunrise and deep purple at dusk. Dinosaurs once wandered through these swamps and floodplains, leaving fossils still discovered today. Theodore Roosevelt called the Badlands devilish and eternally beautiful, a place harsh enough to shape his character and calm enough to reshape his life. Hidden far from major cities, North Dakota's Badlands remain one of the state's most unexpected treasures, wild, rugged, and infinitely more dramatic than most people ever imagine. Fort Union, where worlds once collided. At the confluence of the Missouri and Yellowstone rivers stood Fort Union, one of the most important trading posts in North American history. It was not a military fort, it was an economic empire. Inside its walls, Assiniboine, Crow, Cree, Hidatsa, Mandan, and dozens of other nations traded furs for European goods. At its peak, it saw more cultural exchange than some modern cities. Fort Union was a meeting place for worlds. Earth Lodge cities that flourished long before Europeans arrived. The Mandan and Hidatsa tribes built enormous Earth Lodge towns along the Missouri River, cities with thousands of residents. Their dome-shaped homes were marvels of engineering, designed to survive brutal winters and searing summers. These communities practiced advanced agriculture, trade, and diplomacy, centuries before settlers arrived. Their ruins stand as reminders of civilizations older than the state itself. The Red River that flows the wrong way. The Red River of the North is one of the continent's strangest waterways. It breaks the logic of geography. It flows north instead of south. Its path climbs gently into colder, flatter terrain, creating the perfect setup for disaster every spring. When warm southern temperatures melt the snow, the water rushes north into a valley that is still frozen solid. Ice in Canada acts like a giant natural dam, trapping meltwater behind it with nowhere to drain. The river rises outward across the pancake-flat former lakebed of ancient Lake Agassiz, turning fields, roads, and entire neighborhoods into temporary seas. Floods move slowly but relentlessly, creeping higher day by day. Some of the worst and most expensive floods in modern United States history, especially in Fargo and Grand Forks, are the direct result of this river that flows the wrong way, meeting a landscape with no natural escape. It is a river that follows its own rules, and humans simply adapt around it. Cold War steel beneath the grass. North Dakota once held one of America's largest networks of nuclear missile silos. They were hidden under farmland, protected by fences, alarms, and underground bunkers staffed around the clock. Most are decommissioned, but many remain. Silent concrete monuments to a global tension that once shaped the world. People drive past them every day without knowing what lies under their feet. One of the last true dark skies in the lower 48. Large portions of North Dakota have almost zero light pollution. This makes the night sky startlingly bright. You can see the Milky Way as a luminous river. Planets glow like lanterns. Meteor showers feel close enough to touch. It is one of the last places where the sky still looks the way it did thousands of years ago. Wild horses that still run free across the hills. In Theodore Roosevelt National Park, wild horses graze on ridgelines, wander along butte edges, and gallop across open plateaus. Their presence adds movement and life to an already dramatic landscape. They are untamed, unpredictable, and perfectly at home in a place where the land itself refuses domestication. A land that reveals itself only to those who look closely. North Dakota is not empty. It is enormous. It is ancient. it is full of silence, but that silence is layered with history, geology, weather, and survival. The more you look, the more it reveals. A state shaped by ice, fire, oil, wind, and time. It is one of the most misunderstood landscapes in the United States. If you want more deep dives into places that hide more than they show, tell me which state I should explore next.